In a world with so many stories, from movies to television, and of course, comic books, comes a story that's only available in one of the three mediums I listed earlier. What you are about to see in this trailer is a character debut like you've never seen before. And now, we're just buying dramatic time by repeating the same shots that you just got done watching. We are truly very sorry about that. And now, introducing Rice Christopher!
Recorded live from the secret underground lair of Crimson Cowl Comics and Collectibles, this is the Crimson Cowl Comic Club Podcast.
The following issues may contain spoilers. To make things right, we are going to take the super weapons back and return them to the heroes. I'm Anthony.
I'm Kirby.
I'm Katie.
I'm Jim.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm D-Brad.
Welcome to issue number 309 of the Crimson Cowl Comic Club podcast. Every time we record, we talk about comic books. On this week's episode, we are talking about the one-shot to celebrate the anniversaries of both Wolverine and Donald Duck with What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine? Then we're going to jump over to the weekly reviews. That's where we go back and forth and we talk about the books that we've been reading. They could be new, they could be old, but we're going to talk about them there. And that will be the setup for the episode. We've got a couple extra voices here, so welcome Kevin and welcome D. Brad. So it'll be a fun, action-packed episode here of club discussion and weekly reviews. But in order to get to it, we have to jump to the segment transition. All right, here we go for What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine? First appearance alert. This comic will introduce Donald Wolverine along with all sorts of reimagined Disney and Marvel mashups in a wild adventure inspired by one of Wolverine's most memorable story arcs, Old Man Logan. In addition, the saga will revisit some of the greatest moments in Donald Wolverine's history, including his time spent with Weapon X and the Uncanny X-Men. Travel to the near future where chaos rules as Pete Skull transforms Duckburg into a superhero-less wasteland. Only old Donald Duck can turn the tide, but he's given up his battling days and prefers naps and his grandma's apple pie over fighting villains. But when Mickey Hawkeye comes knocking at the door with Goofy Hulk at his side, Wolverine Donald has to make a choice. Will a trip down memory lane change his mind to save the world, or will the lure of the backyard hammock and a long nap keep him from popping his claws one last time? This comic is done by Luca Barberi, Giada Persianato, Lucio Rivedati, and Laura Tartaglia. I'm sorry to everybody involved. Here we go. this is going to be the discussion for this issue. The synopsis pretty much laid it out. Normally, I do the groundwork and just kind of set it up, but I think that did a pretty well job of explaining what this is. So, what we're going to do is dive in, go around the horn here, and everyone kind of talk about their general thoughts and just kind of discuss this issue. And let's go, Katie. Do you want to kick us off here on your thoughts?
Sure. So, like Anthony said, this is What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine, and it's very similar to the Old Man Logan story. This worked like scarily well. I really liked this. I also appreciate that they took the whole book to tell the story. I was thinking it was going to be maybe an anthology of just a few little cartoons, but I liked it a lot. I'm definitely a Disney adult, but I try to be a reasonable one. So I loved seeing how they superheroified all these characters. It worked very well. And honestly, I identify a lot with Donald, where like sometimes taking a nap does make me less angry. And I like the whole I took a screenshot of this. There's a moment where Mickey Hawkeye is talking to Donald and he says, well, I need you because you have exactly what I need for this mission, a bad temper. That cracked me up. Um, I felt that was relatable. And then at the very end, hates the color green, we find out. So we got to have the Green Hulk versus Red Hulk versus Gray Hulk discussion in here. And Donald has a freak out about all he wanted was just a nap, and everyone's got to come and mess with that. And he only just needed a few weeks, just a few weeks of a nap. And he takes out the bad guys, who is Pete Skull with his adamantium claws and anger issues. I enjoyed everything about this. Like I said, it worked way better than I thought it was going to, and it was just very fun. If you haven't read Old Man Logan, you'll still be able to follow and I really recommend that you do read Old Man Logan. It's quite good and pretty easily available to get a hold of. And if you have read it, there's a lot of details that are going to make you stop and buckle. And I thought all in all, it was a good parody, a good retelling, and it was done sincerely and worth my money. So definitely worth spending the money on it. And I look forward to the next one. But I liked it. That's what I think of What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine. What do you think?
That's excellent. Let's jump over to D. Brad. Your overall thoughts on this issue?
All right, yeah, yeah. I like the old Duck Donald, Old Man Logan, uh, and I thought the flashbacks worked really well. They didn't go too long in them. I think it really was a great idea to have the top artists in Italy work on these comics because that's where these books are really huge in Italy. They have a monthly magazine that a lot of the characters appear in called Topolino, and I did look up how to pronounce the artist's name, and her name is Jada. That's how you pronounce that first name, Jada, and then Piri Sinoto. Piri Sinoto. I have to phonetically do it, but she's got a great Instagram art called Hula Jade Art, where she has a lot of her Disney characters on there. And I thought her art was just fantastic. Dynamic poses, um, expressive faces, facial expressions were perfect. Some of the poses also were homages to some of the Marvel covers and stories. Yeah, there you go. Um, and At first, I thought, why did they pick Donald to be Wolverine? I thought Donald would be more suited probably for the Incredible Hulk with his anger issues, and so that was a little bit of a surprise for me. But he works out because he's a little reluctant hero that he wants to have take a nap, which is totally Donald's character in all the comics. He just wants to rest, but then he gets thrown into these adventures. Um, I like seeing Grandma Duck, and depending on where you live, Grandma Duck is either Donald's dad's sister or Uncle Scrooge's sister.
Hmm.
In Italy, he's Uncle Scrooge's sister, and then in North America, he's Quackmore. That's the name of Donald's father. Quackmore is his father, and her name's Elvira, actually. Elvira. Yeah, and in the comics she appeared first, so she wasn't animation first. She was in comics first, and she always in her stories she usually has like a nephew named Gus Goose, and then later they take characters from Cinderella, the two mice, Gus and Jacques, and they hang out with her on the farm in her stories. I liked another thing I thought is Mickey. I wonder why they didn't choose Mickey to be Captain America. That's one thing I was
That's a
wondering.
great point.
Yeah, because he's gonna fight the Red Skull there too. The
Hmm.
shield does make an appearance, doesn't it? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I was surprised that he was Hawkeye. I thought, man, he should be Captain America. I think I love those chicken drawings. The way they draw chickens are superb. Those are fantastic. The shapes, I love the shapes of them. Yeah, yeah, I could just stare at the art all the time. And that's why I collect all those comics so much. Is I just love the art. But what my favorite drawing, I'm talking focusing on the art here, as we can see, is the middle one that you showed with all the different. It should be a poster. That should be a poster. The one with oh, there's the shield. Yeah, okay, yeah, that middle one there. That would be a great poster. Yeah, and it shows all the different outfits. But my favorite outfit still is him wearing the sailor suit as the Wolverine. I like the collar kind of goes up when he's Wolverine, so I like that in it. But he does have like the colors. His blue and yellow color does fit the sailor suit.
Yeah, and the main reasoning, because they said in the back, at least of the physical edition, I assume it's included on digital too, just
Yeah,
talking about the fact that the anniversaries of Donald Duck and Wolverine were pairing
yeah,
up.
that
So
makes
just going into it, I was kind of thinking that too, like why is every character who they are? But then,
hmm
like why Donald Duck? But yeah, okay, anniversaries. So
Yeah, yeah. And the last thing, um, I think, was about Goofy. I wasn't clear on how he turned into the Hulk. I thought they should have made a reference to Super Goof, where he eats the peanuts, the goobers, and then turn into the Hulk. I would have liked that reference. That's one thing I would have added if I did it. But I enjoyed it overall. It was really good.
and that's why you have D Brad on your podcast with all those deep facts and background, all that information. That let's jump over to Kirby. Thoughts on what if Donald Duck became Wolverine?
I liked it a lot. I'm still Did they ever do a single one for Mickey Hawkeye, or did they just do that Avengers one back in the day?
I'm not
If
sure.
anything, if anything, they did a cover or some because they've been doing some.
Yeah, I've seen lots of covers
Mhm.
with them, but
Yeah.
I think they should have came out with a Mickey Hawkeye episode first. But I get it with the anniversaries and everything.
Yeah.
But Donald Wolverine, I thing I really like about artists that do styles like this is you actually see generational gaps in between characters and stuff.
Mhm.
It's like Donald Wolverine when he gets angry, he looks so much like Uncle Scrooge.
He
And it's
Yeah.
does.
like
Yeah,
all the facial visuals, and you don't see that a lot of times. Just all the characters just look the same or whatever, and you don't see no different identities and stuff.
Hmm.
And you see a lot of different styles with the characters in these books, which I like. But Goofy Hulk, not really sure why they went that route. I have no idea. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me because Goofy's not smart, so he couldn't be a scientist type character. And then he's just Goofy as a Hulk. I don't know why they always pick on Hulk for being dumb just because he uses single words and stuff. But I myself would have went with what's the Goslin as the Hulk as Banner, and when she turns, it would be Launchpad McDuck as the Hulk. I think that would have been a fun little twist or something to that effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of threw me off. I didn't mind him as much as the Green Hulk, but the Gray Hulk, it just with the white head and the rest of the body being gray, it was kind of goofy to me how it was drawn. And then when they made the green one, the head is green to
Yeah.
match the.
Yeah, the green. He definitely looks great in the green.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love the green one, but
I,
I wonder if the answer lies in the fact in this phrase right here, because him and Goofy, let's see, Donald Duck and Goofy used to be called Donald Patch and Goofy Fix It. So that's the reference to Mr. Fix It.
Yeah.
There's something in common between Goofy and Mr. Fix It. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the lore, but
But yeah, I loved it, and I wish the 2-page spread would have been a centerpiece spread so you could take it out and frame it. But yeah, I'd like to see that as a poster.
Yeah, for sure.
good idea.
And sticking with that moment, Kevin Wolf brought up, with Donald going, people used to call us Donald Patch and Mr. Goofy Fix It. And my favorite line of this entire issue is by Goofy, where he just goes, right, and I used to be gray, just like I am now. Just, that delivery, I just read that that's my favorite little line there. So
Do you read it in his voice?
Yeah, I tried. We do get one of those little hip. Forget where that came. I saw one of those written in there. So,
and there is a Canada reference. The first encounter between Donald Duck and Green Hulk, he asked, "Where's Toronto?" And I'm not sure why, but
it's both with with Wolverine, his Canadian background.
Okay, he's from
that's where they first met in Canada, Hulk and Wolverine.
Okay.
Okay.
First appearance, yeah.
Okay.
Let's jump over to Jim. Your thoughts on this issue?
Well, I just have to say first that I am one of the people that has not read Old Man Logan, and I still like this. So this
good.
Yeah, I haven't read it either, Jim.
Okay, good.
Peer
I don't
pressure.
so long that. But I have a couple of questions about just the Marvel stuff in general. Is Hulk? I know Hulk originally was gray, and then they changed him green for like artistic reasons, presentation reasons. But has Hulk ever changed back and forth before, or is that just here?
I think he turned back to gray for a while. Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that. And then I too agree that that centerpiece would be a great poster. I love looking at that. I like seeing the references to the different Wolverine costumes over the years. I was a little confused. Does Donald Wolverine have claws if he doesn't have the gloves on?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You never see him with claws without the gloves. So there's another thing about that. And then I think my favorite character in here is the Pluto Iron Man.
Right,
But,
yeah.
Colossus. Was he Colossus?
Colossus, yeah.
Is that Colossus? Oh, okay. That makes more sense then. Because
the color scheme.
when you see the throne room, you see the Iron Man helmet. There you go. Oh, okay. What is that from the back of the book?
Yeah, just kind of like concept sketches and stuff like that.
Yeah, because when you see the throne room, you see a normal Iron Man helmet, but you don't see Pluto wearing that. But yeah. And then that throne room scene, that throne room picture is kind of cool where you see it's like, okay, yeah, you immediately see the shield and the Iron Man helmet's way up in the front. I don't think I saw it until like the third or fourth time I looked at it was Thor's hammer hiding back on the tool board.
Yeah.
And so I spent a few minutes, then after that, searching those throne room scenes, seeing for more Easter eggs. But yeah, really fun book. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm not as big of a Marvel fan as some of the other guys, but yeah. So I think Mickey had to be a Hawkeye because the major players, the big, super guys, they had their powers already stolen, so they had to have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's why Mickey couldn't be Captain America.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, give Mickey a role. Just give Mickey a role in general. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't even think about that, but Jim saying with the gloves were the only times you seen the claws out. We never heard anything about an adamantium skeleton or anything like that. We just went to back with Gyro Duck and stuff with that style scene with Wolverine, but never talk about the skeleton itself. So.
Yeah.
Let's jump over to Kevin Wolf. Thoughts on this issue here?
Yeah, super fun. Just like Katie said, super fun issue. Agree with everybody on the art. I love this cover because Donald Wolverine looked very duckish with his, body, egg-shaped body.
Yeah, who did that one?
I'm not sure who did this one actually. I'd have to look. Variant covers. There's a Momoko. I don't know which one she did. Phil Noto, Ron Lim, Silva, and Scotty Young. I think. Oh no, Kirby, you didn't get the Scotty Young. That was the Frankenstein one, I think, or something that you got from Scotty Young, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I just got cover A on this one. So.
yeah. So the cover I really enjoyed. Totally agree with D. Brad. I just love these little animals throughout the cartoon or the comic. Just really expressive for the scene. Like if there's a weird decision made, the chickens will look confused. Yeah. And so just really great storytelling, visual storytelling. And when I was reading it, this isn't a criticism, but it's something that was in my mind when I was reading it. There's these flashbacks, right, to get to Goofy Hulk and all of these. And I wanted to see the conflict with Pete the Red Skull Pete character.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
that was very much at the end of the story. And I was like getting hyped for that. And so that was very sort of present in my mind. But I think they had to establish all of these characters. And so they put in the work for that. The one thing I did wonder about, and so Scrooge McDuck, all of his money has been stolen by Pete Skull. And so that would tell me he's probably taken captive, maybe at some point. And so I was looking through each of the panels to see if I can see like Scrooge McDuck like chained up somewhere. And as far as I can tell, he doesn't make an appearance until the very end, the last page, where he's making Donald clean the money again. And that's the typical trope that Donald's always annoyed at having to clean his money.
Right.
So,
yeah, unless there's like a throwaway line somewhere.
Yeah. And because some of these scenes are really busy with detail, and I thought maybe they snuck Scrooge in there somewhere, but
yeah,
as far as I can tell, they didn't. So just really a fun read. Plenty of Easter eggs and references to get deeper into it if you want. Even for this page I had to ask myself, is that Swamp Thing or Man Thing? And then of course it's Marvel, so it has to be Man Thing, right?
Well, isn't it the Krakoa monster?
Yeah, it's the Krakoa monster. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought it was like the T-Rex from Old Man Logan.
And maybe maybe that was a substitute for it. I could definitely see that, Katie. And with Kevin Wolf, I turned and I saw that. My immediate thought was, "Oh, it's Man Thing."
But yeah, me too.
Looking at the details, and then I think they even mentioned Krakoa in there.
Yeah, they mentioned Monster of Dakoa Island.
Okay, yep. So
that's the reference. So yeah, just super fun. Love the Goofy, or not the Goofy, sorry, the Pluto. Yeah, I would have loved to see more of that too, Colossus. But just incredible art. Story's good. So yeah.
Well, yeah, my thoughts on it pretty much mimics everybody else's, but leaning into what Katie was saying when she kicked it off here, talking about the how much it followed Old Man Logan, and what you would think on paper, like, why would you ever even adapt, Old Man Logan with Donald Duck and characters and everything? But it felt very natural. It worked. It was fun. All those designs, seeing all the different cameos, looking at the background stuff that you have all pointed out. That I think this deserves a many read-throughs where you can just get so much out of it just looking at the backgrounds alone. But yeah, super fun, and it just it's one of those that in concept, outside of the anniversaries of these two characters, kind of wondering, like, the names aren't creative in the sense of, Donald Wolverine, there's no, and once again, not a criticism on that, but knowing that that they weren't going for like a pun filled book, like right down to the character names. Like, yeah, we had it with Dakoa and stuff like that, but it's just like, all right, here's the characters, here's their names, and I'm trying to think when we read the Justice League or the Jurassic League, the Daniel Warren Johnson book Jurassic League, and
Yeah.
all of the DC superheroes had dinosaur names that were so hard to pronounce to the point where I'm like, when I'm reviewing this, I'm only just saying Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. And I think part of me felt, grateful that they didn't go that extra length of making, really stretching a name so you had to keep reading, you know, Duckarine or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
if you had to stretch it, I'm glad for that, D. Brad.
another thing they could have done is just played it straight because it's what if Donald Duck was Wolverine, so he could just be Wolverine.
Yeah,
Um,
just
Sure.
playing. They're playing.
Because it's sort of like giving away your secret identity. This is Peter Spider-Man. Like, yeah, they're kind of giving away secret identities, but that's fine. The I don't want to think about it too much, but yeah, that did pop in my head right away. I go, why are they calling him Mickey Hawkeye? Why don't they just call him Hawkeye?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
mentioning.
I wondered too if it was be accessible for younger readers
Yeah,
who like, or if you're reading
exactly.
with your family, where like they're gonna know Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Pluto and
Right.
that, but maybe not. Oh, hey, Logan is also Wolverine, is also Patch. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly probably why they did it. Yeah, good point.
Definitely
mm.
good. And pretty much get away with anything when it's titled "What If."
Yeah.
Anybody have any closing thoughts or any anecdotes to add to it?
Yeah, I think these would be awesome walk around characters for the theme parks, particularly the Halloween party. And I want a Donald Duck Wolverine plushie. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like definitely something merchandising wide talking about the double page splash and how it's fitting for a poster. That definitely a lot of good merchandising out of here that would definitely be pleasing to the eye. So,
And then next is Donald Duck. What if he was Thor?
or yep.
Yeah. And then I also saw one Minnie Mouse as Captain Marvel.
Now there is a variant cover I think with that.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's possibly what you saw. And
Probably what I saw. Okay.
what's interesting about a lot of those, I think they're all happening on like there's like on the Spider-Man covers and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
It's been very confusing because if you
Yeah.
bought that, you would think it's a Captain Marvel issue, but I think it's a Spider-Man issue.
Oh,
They've had a really weird rollout on how those variant homages went because they didn't really relate to that title at all. But that's why when seeing this stuff pop up, I was actually surprised to see. Oh no, this is an actual comic. This isn't just a fun cover. So
hmm. All right. I hope they do like a big collection of them all.
yeah, did somebody mention something? I don't know if Katie brought that up or somebody. I think maybe it was in the solicits that
Yeah.
maybe there's a couple. Like it had the Infinity Dime, it had these in there maybe. Maybe I
Yeah.
just
I
missed
don't
that,
know.
but
I
maybe that was
saw.
a
I, I thought D. Brad said they were doing a hardcover
Yeah.
of the
oh yeah,
Uncle
yeah.
Scrooge Infinity Duck thing, but I
Yeah. I
don't know
saw
about the
that.
rest.
I
They
saw that.
should. It would be a great idea.
Yeah, I did see that
Well,
for the time, but I didn't know if the others were going to be collected in it or not.
what if Marvel Publishing put all their What If Donald Ducks into a hardcover? What if? What if?
With the dime one, with the Uncle Scrooge one.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else? Oh, I got my yellow screen again, so I just have to do this to reset my color scheme. So uh,
Oh,
I was turning into Wolverine there. Any other thoughts from anybody? All
they
right.
definitely need the toys, like Katie said. I second that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Action figure or something too.
yeah.
It'd be a
Especially
cool, like, set of PVC
Hmm.
figures of all of them with,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
just to get the little, like,
Oh,
3-inch figures or something like
Yeah.
that.
I know Warner
that'd be
Brothers
fun.
with Bugs Bunny Looney Tunes. They did that for DC characters.
Yeah, I've got a
Hmm.
Donald Duck Batman. I've got a Wonder Woman Wonder Pig, I think. I've got a couple of those.
Oh yeah. Like Porky Pig.
Yeah, there's a Wonder Woman pig. I'll have to get it
Or maybe
during.
it's Petunia Pig.
Maybe that's what it is. Stay tuned, but it's in my Wonder Woman section, so we'll do that
Yeah.
after the break here.
Awesome. Okay.
That'll do it for the What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine to advertise upcoming club discussions. As we mentioned, What If Donald Duck Became Thor? We're going to be covering that as well. And staying on the Wolverine topic, we will have one final issue of Deadpool Wolverine WW3. Did anybody get that one yet? It feels like it's been a while. Okay, so maybe mine's waiting to be
I've
shipped.
had mine for a good 3 weeks. That's why I was surprised you said yours was coming in a couple weeks yet or something like that.
Yeah, I'll have to double check and maybe I misordered and didn't have it, but it felt like a long time since that last one. So we'll do that one. Then we'll have the start of Marvel Zombies Dawn of Decay with issue number 1. I think that's a 4 issue. Then we have the series from Jeff Lemire, Minor Arcana. And then Batman Full Moon, the DC Black Label horror theme book. So Batman Full Moon number 1. So those are some upcoming club discussions. But before we get to those, we got to jump over to the weekly reviews. Welcome to the weekly reviews. I'm going to kick it off with Cruel Universe number 1. Compelled to oblivion, driven to entropy, all life in our cosmos can only end in one place: complete annihilation. There's a lot of words here that I might trip over, so get ready for this great synopsis here. For the first time in 70 years, the limitless fury of EC Comics rages back to life to shred the very fabric of the universe itself and wrench bizarre tales of time and space into our dimensional plane. Our guides across this double-sized 40-page introduction to a cosmic maelstrom of strange extraterrestrial entities, malevolent scientists, and terrifying technological catastrophes. So that's what I'm talking about. The unpredictable return of EC Comics continues here with the Quantum Comics event of the millennium. Galaxies will collapse, space-time will be distorted, and your very will to exist, too, shall be broken. Just remember, it's all in the name of science. With stories, and this has a bunch of short stories, so all of the people that contribute to this book, we have, and hopefully this will go better than the last one: Matt Kent, Kano, Corinna Becco, Caitlin Yarsky, Michael Atea, Chris Condon, Jonathan Case, Ben H. Winters, Artem Topolin, Brittany Peer, Richard Starkings, and Comic Crafts Tyler Smith. I think I got about 90% of those right, so I am happy. Here we go. This is the return of EC Comics. They've had this and the Epitaphs of the Abyss, I think is the title. I did read one of those so far, but I really liked Cruel Universe. A couple short stories, an anthology format, just kind of really leaning into some of the stories here. It opens up with The Champion. And I'll just kind of give a brief synopsis of some of these here as we go through. The Champion is kind of set in like a Coliseum, Gladiator, Planet Hulk, World War Hulk, movie Thor Ragnarok type of setting where you have a bunch of characters that are kind of thrown into this arena. You see there's a dinosaur in there, you got a warrior, there's a couple different aliens. These are all just characters created for this specific story. But you go through this story and you're kind of learning, you're following the journey of one of these characters as they are explaining through narration of how they got there and what's happening when they meet these other people. You find out that while they're being forced to fight each other, it's also, source of entertainment for people as kids are collecting these actual people through these like VR little hologram things. So they're trading. It's almost like they're trading Pokemon, but these Pokemon are actual beings that are being fought and gambled and betted on and all that kind of stuff. And it gets to, it's a real gruesome type of match, a big alien battle with a dinosaur. That's all I'll kind of do to set this up because, once again, these are short stories, but there's something about that story that was such a brilliant little ingredient into how they relayed that story to us, the audience. That one I really like. There's another story called Solo Shift. I'm going to go to a different page so you don't see the end of the previous story. Solo Shift is following an astronaut who is on a solo mission, and you're just getting his inner monologue of talking about kind of being stranded and finding a ship, a spaceship that it's out there that doesn't read to have more than one person in there, and doing the investigation into finding someone else into deep space while they're on their own little mission. But yeah, all of these have sort of a sci-fi thriller horror lens to it. That was a lot of fun. We have another one that's simply called Drink Up. And this is about a guy who is basically on a journey to find the fountain of youth. He wants to live forever. He wants to cheat life, and he's on this mission. He's heard of this expedition that he can go on to basically find the fountain of youth that's been buried away and lost in time. And it's a very interesting journey as this character does everything he can, risking his life to try to extend his life and stay living forever and stay young and all of that fun stuff. And once again, it's layered with a horror lens, so you can just wonder what the heck happens in that scenario. And then you have the fourth story, which is called Priceless. And this is about a guy who is basically going out on missions. And you open up with some surgical scenes here, because as he goes out on missions, he's basically having experiences. There's a higher up boss that is that's basically forcing this guy or paying this guy to go on these very dangerous missions. And the idea is that the experiences that this guy is going through is being fed back to the guy who can't go on those missions or doesn't want to go on those missions himself. That's as vague as I can, detailed and vague as I want to make it. But it's a very interesting idea of something that, out of all these stories, this would be a fun thing to see in a longer format story or a movie of just somebody else who's hired to go on experiences for somebody else, and that person who doesn't go on them gets to live them through these surgical means. I think that's the best way I can kind of explain that. So those are 4 short stories that are included, all different creators that I had mentioned in Cruel Universe #1. A lot of fun. I loved every single one of these here. When you get anthologies, maybe you don't have some that don't hit as well as the others, and I thought this was a very strong first issue from these people here. And you see a lot of love being taken into bringing back the EC comics. There's some information in the back here kind of talking about not treating this lightly and making sure they bring on the best of the storytelling and really having all the stories hit. And I thought this was just a very perfect comic book anthology. So that is Cruel Universe issue #1, and that is through I think Oni Press is doing these. Yeah, Oni
Is
Press.
it actually DC?
Yeah, so it is EC, and they're
okay.
bringing it back. So they have the I don't. It's close. It's very close by, I think. The Epitaphs of the Abyss, I think it's called. There's 2 issues out right now. That's what it is, Kirby.
Yep.
I read both of them here, and I like the Cruel Universe one more, so I just picked that one just for the topic here. But you'll see a very familiar format. They really leaned it, because this is the more horror based one. But yeah, there you go.
That's funny.
So yeah, check them out. I think both were great, but Cruel Universe I think is perfect. All right.
Yeah, I got that, but I didn't know you were reviewing it today. Otherwise, I would have read it also.
Oh, I hopefully maybe just amped up your excitement to read it then.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to both those runs.
Right.
I got DC Super Pets Special Bitedentity Crisis. I've been collecting Tony Fleek's covers, so I really like this one with all their characters on it. But this was a really fun group of stories. Starts out with, I don't know why they did this. This was kind of weird because you got Tony Fleek's cover, then you got the regular, I believe that's cover A, right underneath it. I've seen that before with a blank cover and having a cover behind it, but doubling up on a cover, that's the first time.
There you go.
But we got Pup and Away by Tony Fleeks, Mike Norton, Brad Simpson, and Steve Wands. This was a really enjoyable Kent Farm type thing where Nightwing brings his 3-legged pup to the farm and has him and his girlfriend are going to do something. And they ask the Kents if he can hang out at the farm. And they're like, no problem. We got a bunch of other pets out in the barn. They can go hang out together. And then we find out that's where the super pets are. And they pretty much have a pretty awesome lair for being just an old red barn, and they got their own little bat cave going on inside there or something, Fortress of Solitude. But yeah, Bitewing is a new recruit to the gang, and he's going to be put on a mission right away because they have to go out on a mission. And they're dealing with the menagerie man, who's just so happened is going around collecting animals. And he uses the animals to rob places. And he's got a whole big plan coming up. But I loved how I believe it was Superman's dog or one of them just mentioned how they're all super pets, kind of like side characters and stuff. And then the Green Lantern squirrel had to point out that, well, he's not a sidekick or a super pet. He's actually a being from his planet that became a Green Lantern. And we get to find out all about that. But he keeps putting up, they're missing I can't remember the super cat's name, Streaky. Streaky's gone missing, and that's how they found out about the menagerie man. And that's why they're going after him and trying to help him out, but they don't know that he's got all these other these animals trapped too. But our little squirrel character keeps bringing up a Green Lantern style image of Streaky so Bitewing can find out what Streaky looks like, and every time he sees the cat, he just starts barking and going off on the cat. So they made that one really fun. I'm going to try not to over spoil these because, of course, they're short stories. I'd love to show this picture of the last page of it right towards the end of the story with them. But yeah, Nightwing ends up helping. They're dealing with the situation. Nightwing runs off, and they're like, well, he's new, so he's got to have some more training. But he ends up, I got to show this image. He ends up releasing a bunch of the animals, and we get to see a bunch of new superhero pets that we didn't know before, and a bunch we do know. But yeah, these pets obviously aren't doing their job too well because they're all getting caught. But yeah, that was a really fun story, the way they played that out and introduced Nightwing to the pack. Or Bitewing, not Nightwing. And then we got this, I suppose it's best to read the names from the beginning so I don't screw it up. Astaro is Born by Alexis Casarano, PJ Holden, Rex Locus, and Steve Wimes. We get this Starro style story where they got a band that they put together, these Starro characters and some other type of octopus type space characters, but the one's dressed up as Robin. And it's like, he's Jaro is his name, and he thinks he's Robin in this whole storyline. It's fun how they go through, and they're using mind control with their band to take over the world, of course, because any type of Starro storyline ends up with that mind control thing. The first story was the longest one. That one was probably a good 10 to 15 pages in there. And then we go to a refuge where we find out there's the scientist trying to collect certain animals, and they collect these 4 characters, and they're like, well, you can go ahead and get rid of the bat cow, and the cat, I believe, was the other one that they had no use for. But they had some plans for the turkey and the dog. But they sit there and battle it out. And while this is going on, we got mystical animals that happen to be also in some of these semis that they have caged up, because they're going around collecting just specific ones for some type of event, but they never really play it out and stuff. But I really want to know more about this big giant red cat character. He's got big old dragon wings and stuff. I've never seen him before. And then we got this red dragon that also gets released. But I don't know if that's like a Shang-Chi's pet or what. But the only thing I didn't like in this whole book is, I get it using imagery when you're an artist for backgrounds, stuff like that. But they did this animal scene where they're cruising along, leaving the area after they escape, and they're going through the city. Then on the next page, you got the exact same scene with a different background. It's like at least move the animals around, so they actually looked like they moved between the city and the country's backscape.
Yeah,
But
not
yeah,
an exact copy.
what's that?
Yeah, not an exact copy.
Right, and it's just kind of lazy when you're doing a short story. I get it when you're doing a whole book, but just a 4-page story, you can draw it a little bit different.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
this story was the most confusing to me. It was The Little Cat, written by Dan Waters. Oh, Refuge, by the way, was done by Michael W. Conrad, Sammy Basri, Ivan Placencia, and Steve Wands. And then The Little Cat is done by Dan Waters, Christopher Mitten, Michelle Madsen, and Ferran Delgado. And this one, I got it like a Peach Momoko feel to it. But we have this, they don't really, here's the people. They're an alien race on this planet, and they all take off because they have to get off the planet because there's something to do with this giant squid type, octopus type character that came from the sun. It's like, I'm guessing they're playing off like a sun burst ray effect, and it's going to destroy their planet or something like that. And the beast is coming to their planet to attack them. And we happen to see a group of characters led by this cat. I'm not sure whose cat that is. You got Harley's 2 jackals. We got some type of rabbit character. And then this is Bizarro's dog. So, not really sure where the cat came from. His outfit and stuff doesn't fit any character I could even think of. But he's kind of basically there with her, battling the sun demon, the sun octopus type creature. And this gal is the one that's left on the planet, left behind. They didn't know that she was still there. And so they're kind of basically working to help each other out. But yeah, it's kind of like more of a poetic style storyline, the way they laid it out and stuff. It was interesting, but I'm still confused who these characters are. I didn't get nothing other than noticing Harley's jackals and stuff. And then the last one is Who Woofs the Wolfman? This was done by Kyle Starks and Tom Napolitano. And it's basically it's only 4 pages, so I gotta show the first page. Try and show it without showing the last page of the other story. But it's basically a Watchmen parody with some characters again that I don't know these. They're kind of goofily animated and stuff, so I think they just played off certain characters and did it. But yeah, you got Ozzy Mutt-Dias, Dr. Mastiff Hatton, Saluki, Rough Shock, Bird Dog, and the Pomeranian. But it was a fun, goofy story, but I didn't.
So is Bird Dog Owl Man?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I would believe so.
Funny. I like it.
Even the way they got him laid out with the dark eyes and the little, his ears pointed out like that and a rounded head. So, but yeah, it was a fun, interesting parody on the Watchmen style, but very goofy. And I don't know. I mean, basically, they're dealing with a giant cat that they're having to figure out and stuff. But yeah, it's just as confusing as all the other Watchmen titles I've read. But yeah, this was awesome. I really enjoyed it, and there isn't a single bad story in it. I almost didn't pick it up because I thought it was just something we already read, but thankfully it wasn't. So yeah, check it out if you like super pets.
Very cool. Right on. And I should mention too that Tony Fleeks is the one that's doing a lot of the dog and cat horror books over independently and stuff. So it's interesting to see him doing, working with, even though some of the stories like with the Watchmen one and stuff like that, but going from working with his own animal characters and then getting to play with established ones. So
if you look at all the stories almost all the stories, the animals in some way, shape, or form are abandoned, abused, caught by scientists or something like that. So it kind of fits in his world with that, but making it more easy on the people. I didn't really understand the one story where a bunch of the super pets were kind of like put on this farm to just, this is the end of your days. And then when they escaped and got away from the people and Turkey gets his wing damaged and stuff like that, they get back by Nightwing, and he sits there and is like all sorry and sad. It's like, I didn't mean to send you there. All this stuff. I'll make sure it's a better place to take you to next. But yeah, it's like they're already getting rid of their pets.
What's that title again, Kirby?
That is DC Super Pets Special Bitedentity Crisis.
Bitedentity.
BIP.
Identity. Okay.
All right, let's jump over to Katie. What you got for us?
Okay, this week I have The Tale of the Outcasts, Volume 1, story and art by Makoto Hoshino, and it's published by Seven Seas Entertainment. I had picked this up based off of the title and the description, which was like, Victorian England, and it seemed like that was going to be a big part of it, but let's get into it. So the premise is we have two main characters. One is a orphaned girl named Wisteria who can see demons, and her demon friend Marbras, who only she can see. So this little girl is clearly being exploited, and it seems that she's fallen into the hands of a human trafficker, and he's selling her off to the highest bidder, and of course she doesn't want that. So she asks her friend Marbras, who tells her stories, to keep her company while she's locked up in the tower all by herself, to save her, but she doesn't want to be sold off naturally. And at first Marbras is like, well, no, I can't do that. We have rules we have to live by. And of course he ends up realizing that there's no way he can let this innocent child go and be further exploited like this. An indentured servant is the best thing she can hope for, and way more unspeakable things is more likely thing is what's going to happen. So Marva says, well, okay, if I do this for you, like, what are you going to do for me? Because we demons, everything we do demands a price. Well, she ends up making a very difficult choice, but the only choice she was really left with. And she says, well, I'll trade you my eyesight and my ability to see demons if you save me from these bad people. And he uses his demon powers to come and take her away, but she ends up becoming blind. So she can no longer see, and she can't physically see the world around her, as well as not being able to see demons. They have some misadventures, and adapting to, oh, hey, I have a human child now, events. And throughout the course of the story, we find out that she also had a brother who at one point also mysteriously disappeared, and she misses him very much. We find out her brother has now grown up. It seemed to me like he was also kind of scooped up in the same trafficking scheme, but I'm not certain if that is what happened. But he has grown up and has become an order of a militia hired by the Church of England to hunt down demons. So we are setting up some conflict here. Marbras has a chapter where he saves her from a very bad demon. Marbras, I will say, is maybe not good, but he's at least morally neutral. But there's other demons out there that are what we know, in our cultural understanding as demons, as being very evil, being liars, being tricksters. And then goes out the book, Wisteria's brother, whose name is Snow, he and Marbras have a confrontation where Snow says, come with me, I've been looking for you. And Wisteria's like, I miss you so much, but remember, she can't see him, so she doesn't realize that this is, in fact, her brother. She just thinks this is some guy, and when she works it out, she's now torn. And because of Milchade with Marbras, she can't leave him because they're contractually bound. So now what is she going to do? And Snow is like, well, if I shoot this demon, then you're not contractually bound. So he busts out the rifle. And And Wisteria makes a decision, and so this is what I would have done as a writer. Wisteria at the end is forced to make a decision. I actually think all three of them should have been a group together. To me, that would have made sense, but I think they're starting some breadcrumbs for later on within the series. And when Wisteria says that she wants to stay with Cerberus, she chooses to stay with him, and her brother reluctantly agrees and is like, well, if you hurt her, like, I will come back for you, but, I'll cover for you as best I can from afar. And then they end up going their separate ways. There's a couple little mystery box type things they set up within here, but that's the gist of the first volume. And I'm sure we're going to see way more adventures from them because Marbra says, well, something I haven't seen in a very long time, an unexpected bonus, is that neither of you bore me out of my mind. So Marbras is immortal, so he's seen a lot. There's not a lot that excites him, that interests him, that can catch him by surprise. But these two kids, they have something special. So there's nothing technically wrong with this book on a technical level. I think it does things just fine. There's a lot of pros. There's some areas for improvement, but they're not major enough where I'd say, don't read this book or it needs heavy edits. They do a great job setting up a lot of breadcrumbs for later volumes. Like there's a reference to a consulting detective on Baker Street, and I'm like, of course you did that. But, we have these people who can apparently see demons, and it's this rare gift. And we have demons fighting other demons and against humans. A lot of potential to grow the series. Unfortunately, I liked this, but I didn't like it enough that I want to keep going with the series. So, like I said, I don't think there's anything technically wrong with it. It just didn't catch me enough to be like, yes, I'm going to spend money on volume 2 and 3. Although, maybe, I think there's a book for everyone and everyone for a book. So if this sounds interesting, I do encourage you to check it out. I've read some other titles by Seven Seas Entertainment, and they're pretty good. And I was looking for a comparison, and I think if you enjoy the manga series, The Ancient Magus Bride, I think you'd see a lot of similarities in this book, and I think that would be a good recommendation if you like one or the other. That's my review of The Tales of the Outcasts, Volume 1 by Makoto Hashino. Check it out.
All right. Excellent. Jump over to Jim. What you got?
I have DC Gotham City Sirens #1. This is a digital first. I think they may eventually publish it in paper. But it is a book that reunites Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman in hijinks in Gotham City. It is a little bit not as comedy, although there is comedy whenever you have Harley Quinn involved. And it starts out with a more serious story of somebody kidnapping a woman who I did not immediately recognize until she does her thing. And I didn't even realize that this character was actually that way. I thought it was more I thought this character acted a little differently, but it is White Rabbit, and in her alter ego of Jaina, I forget her last name, but they see all of a sudden she's on alert, and all of a sudden you see her physically split into two people. Whereas I remember her just turning from her normal person into White Rabbit. But no, apparently she can physically split into two. And then she separates and runs away. And we have a bunch of shirtless, buff cowboys chasing White Rabbit down. So it was pretty funny that way. And then Jaina is still able to see what's going on through White Rabbit's eyes. And she is terrified, and Catwoman comes and rescues her and takes her away. Meanwhile, Harley Quinn is in the park with her hyenas when a herd of buffalo come trampling through the park, and they are chased by these well-dressed gangster-like cowboys on quad runners. And Harley ended up taking one of the quad runners and chasing him down. And one of the buffalo just will not leave her alone. Ends up following her around, follows her back to Poison Ivy's lab, and they find out that this buffalo is not just a plain old buffalo, but it has computer parts in it as well. So we got a story where there's things going on, and then we eventually discover that the issue in town is this energy drink that is driving people crazy. And it is, at the very end, we discover that the producer of the energy drink is Joker's new girlfriend, Punchline. And she is the one that's kidnapping people and turning them into these either drones or these devoted servants, not mindless, empty drones, but like these shirtless cowboys. They're the ones that want to do it because they are hooked on a simulation game that the drink gets them into, that earns them points, that they can play the game, that they can, ask Punchline to do certain things when they have certain points. So she's got this market, and then she ends up running a criminal show based on what the audience wants because they are fueled by this energy drink that she produces. So I've always enjoyed the concept of the Gotham City Sirens ever since they kind of appeared in the animated series and out of that. So and the art is pretty well. This is not my favorite rendering of Harley Quinn, but Catwoman and I think Ivy are quite well done. I think it's very interesting to see that these cowboy figures are all well built, guys. They're the ones running around without their shirts on, rather than, Punchline and the women are all very beautiful as well. But now you get the guys running around without shirts on instead of like the women. So that was a good turn on that, but interesting. And this is written by Leah Williams, art by Matteo Lawley, colors Trinda Farrell, and letters by Hassan Otsmane Landu. And that is not necessarily the easiest font to read in the title page. So
Is Big Barda in that series?
Not in the series so far. She may appear in later issues.
Okay.
Now,
it is a 4-issue series, so
I had no idea there was a White Rabbit in the DC universe because I'm familiar with the one that's in Marvel over in like Spider-Man's world.
Oh yeah.
So I had to do some image searching. I have a picture of the White Rabbit from Spider-Man. Here's a cover issue here, but which you all should be seeing, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the White Rabbit I was familiar with. So yeah, I got to look it up once. I'm just kind of curious. I had never heard there was a DC one. I just thought maybe you said the wrong name at first, but
the character came in either during Rebirth or the New 52. I don't remember exactly where. At least this version of the White Rabbit did anyway. I think there may have been one earlier, part of the Mad Hatter villain entourage, but
yeah, cool. Well, maybe when they, if we ever get another Marvel DC crossover, they can just have White Rabbit versus White Rabbit. So
Yeah.
all right, cool. Let's jump over to let's go to Kevin. Kevin, you're next. What's up? What you got?
All right. So I have Frankenstein. Here is beautiful cover.
Yeah.
And
That's the Glenn Strange version.
Oh, is it? Okay. So the artist on it is Michael Walsh. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. Yeah, Anthony, can you share? I don't know much about him. I know that he has some sort of horror connections, but
So yeah, I'm I'm trying to think. I think I met Michael Walsh, but he's done some Archie horror stuff, and that's where I started seeing his work. But he also, I think he's the one that recently had the Silver Coin, which I think myself and Eric from the Crimson Comic Club here have talked about, which is like an anthology series that had a coin that connected all of these stories throughout time. But yeah, he genuinely works in like horror from what I know him from. So
Okay. Yeah, I think
anytime
I've
I
seen
see
him.
Mike, yeah, if I see Michael Walsh's name on it, I get pretty excited. So I do have this coming. So
Oh, okay. I think I've seen his name connected to Creep Show also. So
yep,
that may be
sounds about
DC.
right.
Is Creep Show's DC, correct? Is that?
That's I think it's its own thing, right?
Oh, is it something? Okay.
Yeah, long thing.
Yeah. So Frankenstein, this is issue one. It's part of the what are the I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the term, the classic monster series that has been running.
Universal.
Dracula. Universal, thank you. Yeah. Universal Monster Series, Dracula and the Black Lagoon have already come out. And so this is issue one. Story wise, it was a engaging story, a lot of fun. It centers around a boy whose father has passed away. Let's see. He's at the grave site of his father. If I can show that image, I think right there. And it starts off with the story of a toy horse that the dad made. The boy's in some type of he doesn't have parents, so a home for kids, and the kids have destroyed his toy. So the story is very emotional, and there are people who are digging up body parts to obviously create. This is just one of the splash pages. I won't show too many of them. So very classic horror-esque splash page. And this little boy becomes part of what is eventually Frankenstein, his dad is. So it turns out this is a little bit of a spoiler. So if you want to fast forward it, the hands of his dad is the part of Frankenstein. And so the boy eventually meets the monster Frankenstein after he becomes alive. And they share this sort of moment of like staring at each other, sort of recognizing each other. They do sort of like this hand grab that's really sentimental because the dad's hands are touching the boy, and the boy wants to obviously get revenge for his father, and I'll leave it at that as to what he does. But throughout, it's primarily sort of a black and white comic with one or two colors for mood, and sometimes it shifts between this eerie green and sort of this pinkish purple. And it's a really engaging story. The price point was $4.99. Story wise, I expected a little bit more for $4.99 in all honesty, but it was a good issue, good solid issue. And I look forward to the other ones for sure. So the covers are on the back.
Yeah, I was going to mention that they had a lot of awesome covers for that one.
Yeah, really incredible covers. There's even a little sketchbook section from Ian Walsh's sketchbook. So it's sort of a Mignola-esque in the sense of a lot of blacks and odd shapes and stuff. But yeah, so I think anybody that's a monster fan will enjoy it. So
yeah, I really like how they're doing each book off a different body part and stuff. It's just, that was a unique way to come out with a new Frankenstein style story.
Okay, so I didn't know that. That's interesting to know. So
I think the third one's on the brain. I can't remember what the second one was.
Okay.
But
The butt.
The butt.
sorry,
Frankenbutt. Yeah.
Frankenbutt.
So I wonder if they're going to follow this young boy through the whole story, or if his role.
I think we might see a different story for each body part, just a different family crisis over it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting concept.
Definitely excited to check that out. Let's jump over to D. Brad. What'd you bring?
Well, I am going to talk about a Kickstarter that I donated money to or paid money to, whatever you call it, and it's by Jay Stevens, who also did Dwellings, and I saw Dwellings advertised a long time ago, and I always intended to buy the Dwellings comics, but forgot about it. I even like saved the post so I could find it later on. But often when I find something, I forget about it immediately as soon as I walk into my house. And so it was nice to see because I part of Kickstarter. I got noticed that Jay Stevens was doing some new comics in the style that he draws the Dwellings in, except Dwellings is more, it's pretty graphic and horror comic, but it's done in the style of like kind of Richie Rich comics. And so this other one, it does kind of involve the supernatural, but it's all ages one, and it's called Figgy Furthermore. And it's 6 issues, and he's not quite finished all 6 issues yet. So I was supposed to get a collection of all 6 issues in the mail in August. Today's the last day of August. I haven't got it yet, but he did send me, or the Kickstarter group, whoever's doing it, did send me a PDF of the issue 1, so I could get a taste of what it's like, and it's quite funny. It's very humorous. It reminded me of John Stanley's stories. He wrote Little Lulu books, which are way funnier than I ever thought they could possibly be. And he also did another one called Melvin Monster, which is super hilarious too. And so it kind of reminded me of that. It's got good humor in it. And I do have, I can share my screen, a sampling of what the art looks like. So, and this is good. If you've ever lost a pet, this is about a boy who lost his dog. His dog passed away, but the dog still haunts him. And so it's called Figgy Furthermore, the Spirit Guide Dog. And you also notice it's got the gold key cover. And so just like they're bringing back EC Comics, someone bought the rights to use Gold Key Comics. And so I think the first set of books they did was Boris Karloff Presents, and it's like a horror anthology, spooky stories that they used to have. They probably published those ones in the 60s. And so it'd be like Boris Karloff is the host, and then it goes into a different story each issue, or maybe 1 or 2 stories. I haven't read those ones. I was more into the Richie Rich style, but I love the gold key emblem hats on there. It's not really 20 cents. That's a lie. Okay, and then it's probably more. And then it also has another set of characters who are aliens in it as well. So it runs like a Rich or Archie book. Where what's that?
That's actually looks like a parody of a cover from Spooky.
Yes,
kind of like a Casper style ghost character, but that
Spooky,
feels a lot like a cover I have.
Oh, you know what? I bet you're right. It probably is. Yeah.
And then
And
I
so,
don't know, but down on the bottom, that almost looks like the Flintstones little alien.
yeah, Gazoo, the great Gazoo. Yeah,
Kazoo.
yeah, Gazoo. And there's a little bit of some of his drawings in there. But what's funny is the kid's name is Howsy Do It. So there's a little bit of a pun in his name, but this kid just he's pretty hyperactive, and he needs like a constant guardian. So the trouble he gets into, he's playing with, as you can notice, he's playing with power tools, okay, and stuff. He's just, you can't hear his ghost dog, but I'll go in a little bit closer. You can get a better look.
I think they call it his spirit animal, right? His dog is like sort of a guide or something.
Yeah, it says right on the cover, spirit guide. Yeah.
Spirit guide, yeah.
So he does guide him, but he does so far he doesn't notice him yet. So he doesn't know that he's there. He's kind of clueless. But he's always talking about how he misses his dog. All right. So here's a good view. It's got the perfect sound effects, the bloops. And what was I wanted to show you? So he gets out of the house. I guess this may take place back in the day when kids could run free. It doesn't seem to have any modern day technology in it. So he falls into a manhole. It's open, and then he's all excited. He's in the sewers, and the thing that I thought was pretty funny is he comes across rats. And he's excited. He just kind of ignores them and runs by them. So it seems like it's going to be a really fun series. So it's going to be 6 issues. So I'm really looking forward. I ordered it. I'll get all 6 together in a trade. That's what I ordered. And it did say it was coming into August, but there's a delay now. And so I did ask for an update on it. That I didn't get. This update was from June, so it's been a couple months since they updated anything. So
It looks like a little Mickey Mouse shorts where the mice are on his head. There's a mouse on the bottom right there.
Yeah. I didn't notice that.
Mouse
Yeah.
used to be called a rat at some point, or maybe people made fun of him as a rat, but
Yeah, Mickey Rat. And these guys kind of remind me of Boris and Natasha from Rocky and Bullwinkle. So yeah, it looks like it's fun, and the issues are more than the 20 pages. They're almost 30 pages each issue. So it's well worth your money. So I get 6 issues for $30.
oh wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep a close eye on that to see if there's any ways to get
It will
those.
be, it'll be available for after. It's a very successful Kickstarter, so they'll have extra copies that they'll sell on Amazon and all that,
Yeah, I think
or
it's
or your local bookstore. I'm sure, comic
Yeah.
store.
on that. That looks fun.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fun.
I'm pretty sure I backed that one too. But yeah, same with Dwellings. Dwellings, they came out with it in the previews catalog about
Mhm.
6 months after the Kickstarters were
Yeah.
over with all 6 issues or 5
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dwellings I just got from a bookstore. I didn't get that from Kickstarter.
All right,
Mhm.
my next one here.
Right.
You've had a lot of animal themed books, some scary, some not so scary, maybe a little bit of both. We're going to make things a little more positively motivated, if you will, because I am talking about positively motivated pet puns for success. Prepare for the tail wagging good time. Join renowned illustrator Agnes Garboska on a delightful journey filled with laughter, heart, and a whole lot of furry fun. Inside this book, you'll find cute full art illustrations and hilarious comic strips, all bursting with witty wordplay, puns, and adorable animal antics. This book is more than just a collection of art, it's a celebration of creativity and positivity. This is written and illustrated by Agnes Garboska with typography by Kyla. Oh boy, Juro Wena. All right, so this was a Kickstarter. This was Agnes Garboska, who I've talked about in the past, whether it was her, create her own work or her work over at DC Comics. Met her last year at Fan Expo, and this was a new Kickstarter here that was basically inspired by her dogs, Otis and Olive. And this project came to be of basically kind of being an illustrated book, but with some comic strips, as the synopsis said. But it plays out. It's really good for young readers and story time and stuff like that. And you just see the layout where you see an illustration, and then you see a bunch of positive motivational words. You've got pop some popcorn, sit back and enjoy the delightful moments of life. And as you go through this here, you just see these cute little drawings that are paired with, and I'll just pick a couple of them here. I almost have to do it like a story time at a library here, the way I have to, so I can read it and show it off here. But don't let fear coil around your dreams. Unleash your serpential power. And that was just showing a cute drawing of a snake there. So there's both furry, cuddly animals and some of our more slithery ones as well. Then we have hop to it and make every day count. So as you go through these here, I don't want to show every single thing here, but it goes through and just has these adorable little illustrations with these motivational, very positive, upbeat sayings. And there's another snake one. I want to show this one because this one made me laugh. I'll read it and then show the drawing because the drawing is just hilarious. Embrace your history and let it shape your bright future. And you just have a snake at a desk here with a book. Like, I don't know, I just found that very hilarious because all the other ones are very much like kind of animals just like jumping around, and some of them are doing activities and such like that, but I don't know, just seeing a snake at a desk there was kind of funny. So there's a lot of upbeat positivity things, all very adorable stuff. And then I'll just show some examples of the I'll do another example of the drawing without giving away some of the phrases. So you see some of examples of Agnes's work. She's worked with I think DC superhero girls and My Little Pony and her own work and stuff too. And here we go. So the comic strip portion, very much similar to the style of the motivational speeches, but it's brought down into 4 panel storytelling. And they do have, this book is full of puns, so it definitely has a lot of that going on throughout the entire book, right into the comic strips as well. But it just shows, every little thing is just a 4 panel comic strip. And once again, still being very about positive and teamwork and being yourself, and just don't let anybody get you down, and don't let anybody stop you from being who you are and things like that. So a lot of fun inspirational stuff. And then it just concludes with some style guides on how for kids to follow along, or kids of all ages and adults to draw along and draw some of these animal and pet characters. And yeah, this was very fun. I'm not sure. I assume she probably has some at her tables. She does conventions all over the literal world. She seems to be in a different place all the time. I'm not sure if she has a web store with this stuff available or what, but this was a Kickstarter, and this was a lot of fun to see. And once again, it was inspired by her very own doggos, Otis and Olive. And just want to include, I'll show the photos of them. She had some actual photographs of her pups. So there you have a Thor and a Captain America of Otis and Olive dressed up. And so there you go. If you're a dog lover, an animal lover, and you want to buy work from someone who shares those same values, then check out Positively Motivated Pet Puns for Success, Agnes Garbosa. Check it out.
I got The Living Corpse Haunted. This is another trilogy of stories in a one-shot issue. Again, this was a kind of goofy cover how they did it, because I believe I ordered the blank sketch cover. And if you turn it over and then flip it, there's a blank sketch cover on the backside. It's like, why would you have it right way up on the front? I don't know. But I love this character. I love all the stories that they've put out so far. We start out, and the people working on this are basically Ken Hazer, Buzz Hasten, Blair Smith, and Keith Thomas throughout the 3 stories. But we start out with Haunted, where we got some characters going into an old haunted. It used to be a state school, kind of turned into a building for mentally and physically disabled people that they ended up torturing the doctor, the head doctor there. Basically tortured those souls, and that's this character here. And all of a sudden there's a bunch of spirits in this building, and the doctor's there using the spirits, torturing the spirits, and looking for more characters to become new spirits in his mansion. And our living corpse character finds out and comes in to take care of things. Well, the main thing with the doctor is he's there mainly for a love from his past, this nurse, and she ends up getting killed during the whole ordeal. And I don't know, but they don't really want to show those pictures, but she definitely looks pregnant. So I don't know if she's got the doctor's kid or what all happened, because they don't go back on that storyline at all. So something's up with that, and it might be something we'll see in the future. But yeah, our character has to deal with that entity. And our character, if you don't know, the living corpse is basically a zombie, and he's got his hooded outfit that he wears all the time. and people always reference him to when he shows up that they think he's the Grim Reaper come to take their soul, and he's just a corpse dealing with demons and spirits around the world as he finds out about troubles that are happening. But our second story goes, it's an Edgar Allan Poe style story. It's called Edgar Allan, the King and I. And it's funny how they parody off this with Stephen King. And Stephen King's working on a novel. And while he's working on a novel, this cat is in the building that he's working on, and the cat annoys him, and he does something that ends up getting the cat killed. Well, no. Edgar Allan Poe, Stephen must not be able to see Edgar Allan Poe's ghost, but Edgar Allan Poe keeps grabbing the cat and throwing it back at Stephen. Every time Stephen sits down and starts to write, Edgar Allan Poe just keeps throwing this dead cat at him. And then Stephen attacks him again. So you're getting a parody on Pet Cemetery and all that stuff with this storyline. But I'm not big on the dead animal part, but it was funny how they played it out. And then our last story is called, I think it's Mumbles the Clown. Give me that page back. No, Tears of a Clown. We got this clown character sitting in the living corpses cemetery. He's got this cemetery that his body is in that he keeps going back to, and he happens to find characters there all the time. This is like the second or third story now where someone's been in his graveyard. But this clown is all ready to just give it up. He's drinking away, getting ready to end his life. And the living corpse is like, well, I don't want no damn creepy clown living in my cemetery, so you're not staying here. So he does some stuff to kind of help change his mind and get this character to move on. And yeah, it's he just so happens when he leaves as an interesting little Muppet type character that's in the back seat of his car that starts messing with the clown character. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Another good little compilation one shot of haunted stories. But yeah, check it out. Living Corpse, fun character if you're into
that. Who's the publisher on that, Kirby?
That is through American Mythology Productions, AMA. So.
Okay.
Cool. Kevin, you're next.
Okay. So the last one I have is I Lie Popeye. And here's the cover. And so I didn't understand the title until actually we started brainstorming before this episode about it, but there's various stories about how Popeye lost his eye in this issue. And so theoretically, they're not all the same story. So theoretically, they're lying, or somebody's lying about it. And that's sort of part of the mystery. How did Popeye lose his eye, or did he even lose his eye? I'm not quite sure yet. So after reading the story, I'm not sure who to believe. So, but a lot of pages, price point $4.99. So a lot of story. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if this is anime or manga style. I think it's more anime. Is that correct?
Same kind of style, but anime is the animated movies and manga is the comics.
Oh, but it is okay. I thought that there's a difference in style, but I'm not all that familiar with it. So, anyways, they captured, as far as I'm concerned, the characters really well. Olive Oil and Popeye. There's this reporter, sort of orange, redhead reporter that is interviewing or wants to interview Popeye to find out the story. Olive Oil is a little bit protective of Popeye. And so she wants to tell the story, and Brutus comes along and he's like, that story is a lie. This is how Popeye lost his eye. So there's another rendition of the story. A lot of action. Let's see, Wimpy even has a story of his own. Of course, he gets paid in hamburgers for his story. So, yeah, just really dynamic art. The Sea Hag makes an appearance. Let's see if I can show her. Yeah, she's in here somewhere, more towards the end. But and then yeah, here's a fun image of Popeye.
That's
So,
after having spinach.
yeah, obviously after having spinach, he has one secret last spinach because there is some magic that steals all his spinach except for this little one here. And the one character that comes into the story, I'm sure you guys remember this character. Oh, here's the Sea Hag, just so you can see a visual of her.
Oh, wow.
Very nicely done. But I would love to see Art Baltazar do something with this character. I think it would be right down his alley. I don't know if you remember Jeep, the character
Yeah.
Jeep.
Yeah.
But it seems like it would be right down his alley. And as far as I know, let's see, here it says 95 years celebrating Popeye. So theoretically, a couple more years and public domain. But a fun story, a lot of story, great art. Here's a fun one of Popeye's arms with some missiles attached to show his strength. So if you're interested in the Popeye comic strip, like I was as a child and even into my adult years, super fun. So there is a to be continued at the end and sort of some portal, possible new enemies coming into this story. And yeah, so from
How many issues?
oh,
Is it
I'm not sure. This is just issue 1, but it's massive. It's called The Publisher, and I'm not familiar with them at all.
Well, I want to say it's 4 or 5, and it seems like it's been taking a while for the other ones to come out, or they're doing it every other month or something. But yeah, now that you mention that, I do remember reading it in Free Comic Book Day, part of the teaser of the first issue that had the characters having their own stories about his eye.
Oh.
The one, and there is one major criticism, and this is actually really huge. The script is so tiny that it's almost unreadable. In all honesty, like you have to really get in to read the letter. And if you look at online reviews of other people on YouTube, everybody says like, how could this comic have got published with this small of a script or font? Sorry, but anyways. Fun. Besides that, if you can look past, I just sort of brought it up close, and I had a light because I was reading it at night. But a lot of fun retro.
Probably one of those that would be better to read digitally, so you can zoom in and out.
Yeah, that's possible too. Yeah.
And when you mentioned, much, smaller script, one of the smaller script comics out there is from Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. Very small script in his stories. It just says, "I am Groot."
Oh. Yeah, so you don't have to read much.
We have one more weekly review, and we're going to jump over to D. Brad. What you got?
All right, won't be long. I've been collecting omnibuses of comics related to the Batman animated series. So I have last year I had a great big one of the collection of the I think they call it Batman Adventures, the comic version. And so once that show became popular and they already had like 65 episodes in the can, they wanted to make more. And so the company, Fox, or whoever was in charge, Warner Brothers, I'm not sure who was in charge, wanted more Robin because they planned on having Robin in the movies. And so they decided to rebrand Batman the Animated Series as The Adventures of Batman and Robin on Saturday mornings. And it had a new theme song, which was basically just music from the show, just a different section that they used. And they'd have like different opening. It didn't have the opening we're familiar with. And so it was kind of, most of the new episodes had to have Robin in it. And then they also would rerun other episodes that had Robin in it from the past. And so when you get it on DVD, those ones, when you play it, they'll still show it with the opening that you're familiar with Batman on the Rooftop, but there'll be a little special section where you can click on the Adventures of Batman and Robin theme if you want to watch it that way. And so the comics that were coming out were changed to the Batman and Robin Adventures, and so that came out last month. So I was very happy. It was one of the few omnibuses that was under. It was under $100. Like a lot of omnibuses now are like over $100. So I was happy that this one was on sale, and the other one I got on sale too. So I always wait for. I have this app that tells me when things are on sale. So. It's
Is
just
that
great.
Tim Sale's art or?
I don't think he does any art in here. No.
No?
The main artist is Ty Templeton and Rick Burchett. They were the main artists, and Ty Temple is also the main writer as well. And there's some stories by Paul Dini and Hilary J. Bader, and yeah, so it's just kind of same sort of art style that you see. It's the Bruce Timm style. So it hasn't adapted the newer style that came later. Those comics haven't been collected yet. They were known as Gotham Adventures. So I haven't heard about any omnibus for that. The only thing about these ones is everyone has Robin in it as well. I want to collect all the omnibuses that come out that are related to that TV show because I just love that show so much. And so also in that world, of course, they had Superman. So there's going to be Superman Adventures, but that one isn't going to be an omnibus hardcover. It's going to be a compendium, which is more of a soft cover version. And same with Batman Beyond. That one's already out. The Batman Beyond one, I haven't got that one yet. But Superman Adventures is coming. And then I'm looking really forward to the JLA Adventures because I think that came out before the Justice League show came out. So it's a different interpretation. So it'd be, and then one of my animation teachers drew that comic, so that has a personal connection to it. So that's kind of fun. So that's my quick review of my brand new omnibus. I'm very happy to read.
Very cool.
Even though I have all these in issues already. So
those stories are new stories that are just done in the world of the cartoons, correct?
Yeah. Except for one. One is a adaptation of the movie Sub-Zero, which is
That's a
straight to video movie.
Sure.
Batman Robin. Yeah, with Mr. Freeze.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for the weekly reviews, and that is going to do it for this episode. Let's get over to our plugs. CrimsonCowl.com for information and original webcomics. Go to Crimson Cowl Comic Club on iTunes for the audio version. Subscribe, rate, and review. If you want some of the visuals that we've been talking about, because there's a lot of visuals in a comic book club podcast, then we highly recommend going over to YouTube, Crimson Cowl Comic Club, over on YouTube to subscribe as well. And then Kirby has a spin-off podcast under the Cowl of MS, if you want to let people know what's been going on over there.
The owner of that podcast has been slacking. He's been putting a few unboxing videos out and stuff like that, but I figured out finally how to get my Spotify to finally take videos. So my original podcast platform is going to be going to all the medical stuff as far as MS and dementia. And then I'm going to keep YouTube to just the comic and entertainment style stuff. Don't know if there's going to be name restructuring or yet what, but we'll see what happens. But on the old podcasting platform, there's like 700 episodes. And then I'll be changing that up. And that one will definitely probably get a new name. But yeah, we're going to be restructuring over the next few weeks, but I will still try to keep up getting some. I got a stack of comics to review and all that stuff, so we'll still get some stuff out there for you.
All right.
Cool. All right. And so, yeah, make sure you follow Under the Cowl of MS on all the platforms, all across social media, and check them out. Going over to Crimson Cowl media related stuff. At the time that this episode is dropping, we just came back from Mighty Con Milwaukee, and that is when I had the debut of Rice Christopher, which is the Wednesday afternoon special, my very first comic book, And now that we're back from MightyCon, I was so shocked that I sold 27,000 copies at MightyCon. I didn't even bring that many, and I still sold that many. So I had to hit a reorder button so I can get even more shipped, within seconds, and get it shipped to the Milwaukee MightyCon convention, and then for any inventory for people that wanted them online. So now that we're back, thank you to everybody who supposedly showed up at that comic convention in the future. But if you are looking for a copy of Rice Christopher, the Wednesday afternoon special, all you have to do is reach out to me on social media, Crimson Cowl Comic Club. You're watching this video, you're listening to it. There's a source to just send a message and comment, as well as going to Cartoonist by Night, and just wherever you see my name and my face, just comment and say you want one. More information coming as it's officially past MightyCon date. I'm going to reset my yellow screen here, and we're back. So thank you to everybody at MightyCon. Any future events will be advertised, as we'll be looking into getting this comic out there in the world even further. I mentioned Cartoonist by Night, so go to Cartoonist by Night over on YouTube, and myself and D. Brad Gibson are part of that show here, along with our friends Matt Rogers and Matt Fife and Tunes by Troy. And we just dropped a brand new episode, which is Winston Gambro, who is the creator of Lights in the Sky. I reviewed this on one of the previous episodes of Crimson Cowl Comic Club, a past guest on this very show. He hung out with D. Brad and I and the crew, and to talk about Lights in the Sky, talk about Haunted House, a love story, as well as his other creations. And the topic of choice was current non-Big Two comics. So all independent comic books that we've been a fan of over the last handful of years. We've been talking about that. So go to that episode, subscribe to Cartoonist by Night to check that out. And I have some artist accounts over on Facebook and Instagram at Anthony Laatsch, Laatsch. That's also a great way to just send a message if you want a copy of Rice Christopher, the comic book. So that is going to do it for all of the plugs. Thank you, everybody, for checking it out. Share the show with a friend. Help us grow. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. That is going to do it for this episode. And I forgot to remind D. Brad of our little sign off. So if
Got
you,
it. I got it. I got
oh,
it.
look at that, perfect. So this whole time, I used to be gray, just like I am now.
I've been hanging out with super pets and creepy clowns. Schnick, schnick.
I've been a gangster cowboy.
That's enough for now, I think. Tune in next time, boys.
And these are not my hands.
And I've been guided by a ghost dog.
To be continued.
Thank you, Slimer.